Hi, everybody. My name is Sophie Alcorn, and I'm the founder of Alcorn Immigration Law. I'm a California certified specialist in immigration and nationality law by the State Bar of California Board of Specialization, and I was recently named one of the top 10 attorneys in California for immigration law. So I wanted to share with you guys the latest updates on Trump and his tweet and immigration and this suspension, because we've been getting calls and emails all day long from people around the world who are concerned about this. So I want you to know that it's going to be okay. This is a lot of bluster and rhetoric, and the bark is worse than the bite. So although the world has been freaking out for the last 24 hours, it's okay. It's going to be okay. We've got this. You've got this. And immigration into the United States is still possible. So I want to recap what has been happening over the last 24 hours. So yesterday evening, about 24 hours ago, there was a tweet that where the president said that he would be temporarily suspending immigration. And it was very vague. It didn't say when the suspension would happen. It didn't say who it would be for. It didn't say how long it would last. And indeed, as of right now, this executive order is still in the drafting phase. It has not been written yet, and it has not been signed yet. So there's stuff changing all the time with a lot of speculation about what might be in it and how long it might last. So within the last hour, the president has said a little bit more about what this order would contain. So I want to share that with you, along with my analysis of what the next steps might be after this, and also what options you have if you're in the United States or you want to come to the United States, and how that is still possible for you. So the latest update from the press conference within the last hour is that this will probably be a 60-day pause on people seeking permanent residence status inside the United States. So this is actually a very tiny sliver of the whole world of US immigration. And all the green card interviews have been paused anyway, because we didn't want people to be spreading coronavirus at US Citizenship and Immigration Services offices. So these processes are on pause anyway right now. If somebody is in the United States and they're at the final step of their green card process, that's called an I-485. It's an adjustment of status application. Each person in the family seeking a green card files their own. And depending on where you live, this is typically about a 1 to 1.5 year process, depending on how many applications are in that office. And it used to be under prior administrations that people who were getting their green cards through employment would have the final interview waived if they didn't have any convictions. But that privilege has gone away under this administration. So everybody has to have an interview now for adjustment of status. And for at least 4 weeks now, at least here in the San Francisco Bay Area where we practice in Silicon Valley, USCIS has been closed and not providing interviews for the last month, and all the cases are on pause. So let's take a step back. Obviously, it hasn't been written, it hasn't been released, it hasn't been signed, so this could change again. But based on where we're standing now, it appears to be that many, many, many groups of people will not be affected by this. So this seems, at the latest, from the latest news conference, to not be affecting the ongoing H-1B season. It also seems like it will not be affecting other types of extensions of non-immigrant status, changes of non-immigrant status, which are all things that USCIS processes without an interview for people already in the United States. It also seems that it will not affect processes within the Department of Labor that are necessary to getting a green card, like the PERM process. And it also seems like it will not affect the filing of green card petitions, I-130s for family-based petitions and I-140s for employment-based petitions. So you can all take a deep breath. The people who would potentially be filing green card applications in this next 60 days, would be people whose I-140s potentially would have priority dates that would just become current. So there might be a slight delay for those people. Hopefully they're maintaining non-immigrant status anyway, or could apply for an extension of status if necessary. It might also affect people who are getting married and want to file green cards based on marriage to US citizens or permanent residents. But with shelter in place, it's been difficult for people to get married because it's hard to get marriage licenses right now. So this might not have too big of an effect for people in that category as well. And the people who already have their green cards pending, well, their ultimate green card interviews are going to be delayed anyway, and they'll still have their work permits, and those work permits will still be valid if they have them. Maybe this will delay the issuance of new work permits for people already in the process for the next couple of months. But we kind of anticipate USCIS delays anyway, because I imagine that a lot of USCIS employees are working from home. So hi, I see that you're listening. Thank you. Thanks for the comment. If you have any questions, you are welcome to ask them, and I'll do my best to answer them. So that's the latest. And I mean, what I want to say to everybody is that this is the same drama that we've been replaying over and over again in this administration. Our government has not been able to come to a consensus on any sort of comprehensive immigration reform, which would mean passing a law and through Congress and getting the president to sign it. So there are speeches and executive orders that the president can issue. It's ironic because I remember during his campaign, one of his complaints about the prior administration were the number of executive orders that the prior president had issued on immigration. So here we are again, going full circle. And I want everybody to know that at this point, it's just a tweet and a speech. There's no draft of an executive order yet. It hasn't been signed. It hasn't gone into force. And when this order, if and when this order does happen, I'm sure there's going to be litigation. There are many immigrants' rights groups that I'm sure are getting ready right now to sue the federal government in district court and seek an injunction and a temporary restraining order from the courts so that the government is even prevented from putting this into action while a judge is making a decision about the legality of it. Apparently, researchers in the Justice Department are trying to figure out the legality of suspending green card applications. I think there's a strong argument that it's illegal and that only Congress has the authority to suspend the issuance of green cards based on the Immigration and Nationality Act. So we will see how that plays out. I'm sure there's ample fodder for legal arguments there. So I want everybody to rest assured. We're monitoring the situation closely. I'm going to keep posting videos here on YouTube. You can also subscribe to my podcast, Immigration Law for Tech Startups, which you can find on our website, alcorn.law. And of course, if you have any questions, you're welcome to reach out to us. I do see a question from somebody, which is that somebody's spouse is outside the United States. The green card case is with the National Visa Center, and how is that going to affect the case? So what this means is that this person's spouse has an approved I-130 petition, and the National Visa Center is responsible for getting the cases from inside the US to the consulate where that person is living for their green card interview. We've actually seen a tremendous improvement in processing times with the National Visa Center in our firm over the last several weeks, with many cases being processed in lightning speed. So, you know, maybe there's fewer applications and maybe your spouse is actually going to have a faster time, which is wonderful. And then the next phase would be for an immigrant visa interview for your spouse at the consulate where they live. So right now, you know, that's not happening. All the consulates are closed. They're only issuing emergency visas. So basically, we have to wait until they reopen, until it's deemed safe. Recently, we did learn that the consulates in China have reopened interviews starting in July. So, you know, that could give you some sense of, you know, maybe the rest of the world consulates will be a few months or a couple months behind China. So, you know, I hope that your spouse gets through the NVC soon and gets that immigrant visa interview scheduled as soon as the consulates reopen. I don't think this 60-day suspension will have any effect on the process that your spouse is going through for the person who asked the question. So I'll be sharing more. Probably tomorrow there will be more news conferences, maybe a draft of the executive order if it exists. Maybe they'll pivot, who knows. You know, one other thing that was being pushed around the media today was this idea that people on H-1Bs might have to get new LCAs from their employers, which is a certification with the Labor Department that they're not being paid less than the prevailing wage, and that the working conditions are not adverse to Americans. So, you know, that's a step that employers could go through if it becomes necessary. But the latest press conference didn't mention anything about that. So we'll see what's in there. But stay tuned. I'll be happy to provide additional updates. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to let us know. And just, it's already a stressful time. Don't let this stuff get to you. Take a deep breath, be well, care for your health, be kind to each other. Take time to just rest and dream about the future. We've got this, and we're here for you. So if you need any help, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you so much. And oh, you're so welcome for your response. God bless you too, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you. Bye.